It's your favorite super duper mother daughter duo coming to you with all the positive vibes and helping you become exactly who you want to be. We're giving out all the good stuff on this podcast, and it's your host Tekoa and Sarah. So grab your mug because it's time for tea. Hi everyone, it's time for tea where we're teaching, empowering, and applying. I'm Tekoa.
And I'm Sarah.
And today we're going to be talking about love. Give us the definition of what that word means, that good old word we all like to hear.
Okay, the definition of love: an intense feeling of deep affection. So that's the Webster definition of love.
Okay, and I'll talk to you about the 4 types. There's brotherly love, family love, romantic love, and divine love. And brotherly love is love in your community, love with your friends. So let's call it brotherly, sisterly love. Okay, and what do you want to say after that?
No, you can go ahead because I was going to go into the scripture part of it. So go ahead.
Okay, so family love is the love that we get from our family, how we interact with them, how we feel like we belong when we're with them. That's the love between our family members, okay? And that is actually the one of the first types of loves that you come to know. That sets the foundation for love. That's your example of love and what it looks like, and you take that with you into your relationships when you grow older. Brotherly sisterly love, that let's say that's the second love that you come, because when we get friends, we're in school, we're growing up in our adolescence. Brotherly sisterly love, how we learn to react and communicate with the community, how we learn to love through those around us, okay, through our learned behaviors and through experiences we go through. That's the second type of love we come across.
Okay.
The third type of love is relationship love. So the relationship loves deals with boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, your boo thing. That's the next type of love up. And how we react or how we survive in that type of love usually stems from the brotherly sisterly love and the family love, and how we learned how to maneuver through those relationships early on. Okay. So, what you've seen in your parents' relationship, if you had 2 parents together, what you've seen with how your mother responded to individuals, how your mother responded to you, what you see and how you and your friends interact with each other. You pick up on those things and then you take them with you, good or bad, into your romantic relationship. The last type of love we're going to touch on is divine love. And that's if you have a higher being that you love, if you have like a God, a spiritual being, we believe in God. And he is love.
He is love.
Encompasses what love is. And so we're going to give the definition of agape love, which is the Bible's definition for all that God is and encompasses when it comes to love.
Okay. So I have 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 4 through 7.
Okay.
Love is patient and kind. Love is not jealous or boastful or proud or rude. It does not demand its own way. It is not irritable, and it keeps no record of being wronged. It does not rejoice about injustice, but rejoices when the truth wins out. Love never gives up, never loses faith, is always hopeful and enduring through every circumstance. So that's the scripture of what love is.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't sound like how I used to love.
Yeah, yes, that is true. So when you really read that and you really dig into what true love is, I think we all have fallen so short to what true love is. And I know that, can I just say, and I know that you were talking about was it the 5 different levels of love?
Different, types.
And the beginning one is, was what? Family. And so, through witnessing through life, I know that our base of what love is to our family was sort of tainted. Some house, some upbringing was tainted, which means there might have been, abuse or neglect or
Some love
drama.
trauma.
Yeah, or drama, that truly was not the agape true base of love. And so as a child, as an adult, like Tekoa was saying, we that's our foundation of what we thought love was or is. And as we're grown older and we start researching this love, we find out that we weren't surrounded by true love. There was some taintedness and alteration in what love is, for whatever reason. So
Yeah, and we can kind of see even in the relationship between friends aspect, the brotherly sisterly love, we can kind of see, maybe somebody hurt you and there was never a moment of forgiveness.
mhm,
Maybe someone did something like what they call backstabbing, like
mhm,
someone did something behind
mhm.
your back. So we do have like a tainted version of what real love is because we're dealing with imperfect beings in our life.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we have to kind of, if we want to get into a good relationship love, we have to kind of reset those learned behaviors, reset what we learned early on, reset the negative aspects of what we took on as love.
And what we attach that love to, like we attach
Yeah, of
abuse
what
to
love is.
love because that's what we're used to, or we attach neglect to love because that's what grew up with,
Yeah.
and this was our reality at that point of love. So yes, go ahead.
Okay, so let's talk about how we feel about love. Like, what is our initial when you hear love, what do you feel?
I'm going to say this because as we were researching this, I sort of had to pull back and look at it from my point of view, from my experience through life, and
Mhm.
I truly feel that people really are not. We don't really know what love is. We use that word so loosely. I love you. Well, but when you go to the core of it, do you really love that person? Because if you can't love you, if you are not whole within yourself, then I just, it's for me, I don't believe that you can love someone else. If you're incomplete in your life or you are jacked up due to whatever past experience and you have not overcome or dealt with that, you can't transfer that love to true agape love to another person, because you're not, for me, truly whole. So when a person says I love you, I sort of have to look at what's their story, what their history, who they are, and realize that their love might be tainted, and sadly due to past life or abuse or neglect or whatever trauma that happened in their life. So I
And
think people just use that, throw that love thing in there and be like, I love you. But I don't think they really got the true concept of true love.
yeah, and some people use love as like a bait.
Mm,
I love you. Now, what you gonna do for me?
yeah.
Now,
Okay.
what do I have from you? Now, do I own you because I said I love you?
Mm.
Are you willing to go to hell and back for me because I said I love you? I love you, so are you willing to tolerate all my craziness? And that's a matter of, you have to listen to. That's why I think you
So
can
more
say
like a
you love
control.
me. Yeah, someone can control you with that word. So I say you can love me all you want, but I am more so looking at the actions that
Yep.
come behind your love.
Correct.
You have to show me that you love me, and I have to feel that I am loved the way I deserve to be loved to reciprocate that love back. I usually
Mhm.
come into contact with everyone. You got to give respect to get it. I don't believe that. I give respect first. And then if you do something to betray my respect, if you do something to betray my trust, then I pull back. But usually at first,
Mhm.
I'm very, very open.
Mhm.
I'm very loving of everybody. Not say open because I won't, pour my business out into you, but
Yeah.
I'm respectful, I'm loving, I'm compassionate towards all individuals until I see that I should be otherwise.
Mhm.
So
And
you
love is an action.
love is an action. Yeah.
You know.
Love is a verb. It's what you do.
Do not
Yep.
what you say. It comes with you doing?
Yep.
So if you tell me you love me and you're doing something contrary to what love should look like, then you don't love you.
Yep.
You don't love not you just not don't you don't just don't love me, but you don't love you.
Yeah,
So
yeah. You don't know how to love. And
yeah.
that is something I personally battled with is how do I love in a relationship? You know, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people definitely nowadays we're self-absorbed. We care about ourselves and what can I get out of this and what can I have? And to love someone is a journey of putting them before yourself
Yeah.
almost constantly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's why it's so important to know how to love yourself. It's so important to know how to keep your cup full because when you commit to loving others, you're constantly pouring into them.
Correct.
Yep, yep. So you have to balance out who's worth loving and love everybody, but who's worth really giving that brotherly, sisterly, or that romantic type of love too, because you're going to constantly pour into this person, especially if you really love them. And you
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure it's an individual who can pour back into
Back.
you.
Correct.
You
It's
want to
not
make
one-sided.
no
It's
double-sided. It's two-way streak. I'm flowing and you're flowing and we're flowing
we're flowing
together
together.
into an ocean filled with love.
Mm-hmm.
So you definitely want to make sure that it's coming back to you just as much as you're giving. If you're in
Correct.
a relationship and you love that person and they say they love you, but you're the only one who feels as though they're giving out love, take a step back and think, do they know how to love? Are they
Mm-hmm.
willing to work on learning how to love me better? If you have talked to somebody or you're in a relationship for 5+ years and you say, hey, I don't feel like you love me, you should do this, or can and that's another thing when you talk about love languages.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure they can speak your love language.
Correct.
I am very fluid in love languages. I watch people, I know how to love people. It's what I do. I love making people happy. So that is something I pick up on. How do
Mm-hmm.
you like being made happy?
Yeah.
And I act accordingly. But if the person you're with can't do the same for you, do they love you? Are they thinking of you? Because love is an action word.
Mm-hmm.
Or do they love themselves and love having you around because you make them feel better?
Correct.
So definitely research into what is love for me. What are my love languages? How do I love being loved? How do I show love? How do I give love? And
And
is
how does love look?
how does
What?
it look? And is it being reciprocated? Yeah, because if you talk about the agape love, like you gave the definition, love is not angry or is not quick to be angry.
Mm-hmm.
Love is forgiving, love is understanding. If the kind of love if the relationship you're in doesn't resonate with any of that, if it doesn't look like that, then maybe it's not love.
Correct.
Maybe it's strong like mixed with a little bit of cray cray. Okay. Strong like mixed with crazy. So you
Um.
gotta call it what it is. This
Correct.
is
Correct.
lust
So
mixed with
you
crazy. This is
you
I
know.
don't want to be lonely mixed with a little bit of everything else that's going on, mixed with chaos.
Yeah.
Is I don't want to be alone, so I'm going to allow foolishness into my life. This
Correct.
is not love. This is abuse. This
Mm-hmm.
is, hate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's important to know. And as I was, I read the scripture years ago because God gave me, information about just love them, and I had to sit back and what is love? What is true love? And I had to go into the Bible and look at not what man told me love is, not even what Webster told me love it, but what is God saying love is? And that's when I came to that scripture, and I'm like, whoa, oh, we are so we are so far from this love thing. Um, but because it is that true, no matter what, loving that person. And through the faults, through the ups, to the down, and love is also loving you, forgiving you, being good to you. That's and it starts home first. That love starts with you. Um,
And I want to say love is purposeful. Love
mhm,
is not accidental. It's not something you just stumble, into. You have to work at love. Love is a journey.
mhm,
It's a challenge. It's an
mhm,
adventure. And
mhm.
it's something that you have to choose to do. Because I could be mean all day, or
Mhm.
I can choose to love you regardless.
Of
I
your
can
faults and your
choose to forgive you. I can choose to be understanding. And that's another thing. Love is not being reactive, but sitting back and understanding the whole picture.
yeah,
So love takes some maturity. I'll say that love takes growth and maturity. And if you're not a mature individual, then you need to work on that because you're not going to be able to fully love
correct,
you
correct,
know and also if you are a self-absorbed individual, you need to work on that because you're not going to be able to truly love if you're just worried about you. How can you truly love others?
correct. It flows. It's the energy. It flows
Yeah, yeah, so
all the way
that's
around.
something you have to be able to look at and understand and to think about. It's definitely something that you think about.
Hmm.
So let's get into um the action part of love.
Okay.
So we said we feel as though people don't really know how to love. What does it look like to love? What does that genuine love feel like? What is it? How do you know?
And again, that's why that scripture was important because it sort of shows you what it is. It's being kind. It's not when someone does you wrong and you said I forgive them, and then in a conversation or an argument you're bringing that you're bringing that's
I
I
remember
thought so we're
in
so far
May of
you're bringing that
2018.
that conversation or that issue back up in that person's face, and then I'm reading the Bible like that is not love. I'm like, oh,
No, that is facts.
that is like, but that is
I'm
not
stating
what
the facts.
that is not a gap. And you have to realize, and I can understand because I just had an aha moment, because God is not going to bring your faults and your shortcoming back to you. So that's
Sometimes
why
you have to
he's
be
like,
reminded.
yeah, it just came to me like, and but that is why he's like, let it go. Don't bring those things
A
back
clean
up.
slate.
Just let it go. And I'm like, wow, it's just like, yeah, because if you're talking about agape love, God is not like, oh, remember when you was 4 years old and you stole,
Yeah.
and you're like 30 years old. He's not going to repeat and bring up your shortcomings in your face. And as humans, we do that. We sort of bring up our shortcomings or the things that we might have overcame back in the past up again.
Yeah.
Like, remember when you was fast? Well, I was fast 20 years ago. There was a story
I'm
behind
a
why I was fast.
changed
Like,
man. And
I'm a
that's why I
changed
said
person. Why we got to keep bringing back the past?
love is a journey because we're always constantly changing, we're growing, we're learning, and add what you learn to yourself and evolve.
Mm-hmm.
And as talking about bringing up the past, it's like you don't want to bring up the past, but you also want to be smart. You
Mm-hmm.
want to forgive and you want to move on, but you don't want to keep letting someone mistreat you.
Walk
That's
over you.
where self-love
Mm-hmm.
comes in. That's what
Mm-hmm.
knowing your worth comes in. That's what setting those boundaries come in. And even in the Bible, it talks about going to help people. And if they don't receive your help, dusting off your feet and going your way.
Mm-hmm.
It talks
Mm-hmm.
about leaving people in the dust because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you have to know when is enough.
Yeah.
When love doesn't look like love, when you're trying to help someone and they don't want to be helped, you have to know when you can walk away and wash your hands and be free of whatever that situation was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't mean that you stop loving. It doesn't mean that you aren't your best self. And when we talk about what love looked like as a child, some of us grew up in situations that we know now wasn't the best situation,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't a loving situation.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get into adulthood, when you dealt with childhood trauma, you either tried to overcompensate for it or you fall into this depression of why me?
Mm-hmm.
This victim mentality. So either you're the victim and this was horrible, this was a horrible thing that happened to me, or you overcompensate. I didn't get this, so I'm going to give my kids this. I'm going to give my
Mm-hmm.
spouse this. I'm going to, be overly crazy with it. But you have to find a balance. You have to find a harmony in it. And I just wanted to point that out because I know some people didn't experience love as a child.
Correct. Correct.
Some people experience what their parents said was love, but was not. I know in the Black community, disciplining is done with a belt.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's love. You should discipline, but I think that was just a trauma passed down from slavery.
Correct.
There wasn't communication. There wasn't a respect of you're a person as well, just as I'm a person. In
Hmm.
Black households, it's do what I say and that's it, period. And that can weigh on a child's psyche.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
we're still trying to find our way through love and relationships, and how, and that damages communication. A lot of kids don't know how to communicate because they never had the chance to.
Correct.
I talk, you don't, so it all stems from these childhood traumas and how we learn to be in our relationships with our friends. Some kids, they go into gangs and they learn that, when you love someone, they tell you what to do and you do that. And that's how you reciprocate love. And that's not necessarily true. Love goes
Hmm.
both ways. It's not just, what do you need from me? I can do whatever you want. And that was one of my struggles with growing up as a child. It was, my definition of love was, what can I do for you? What
Hmm.
can I give you? What do you want from me? More so than a balance of what can we do for each other.
Correct.
I felt as though I had to be the giver.
Hmm.
And I had to make people happy. And I had to learn that balance.
Hmm. Hmm. It's both ways. It's both
Yeah.
ways.
It stems both ways. It's
Yeah.
very important, and if, like I said, if there's not that balance, if it's not being reciprocated, it's okay to love that person from a distance and dust off your feet. That comes with setting your boundaries.
Yep, studying your boundaries. And again, and it's truly learning what love is. Like that's most important thing is for me to tell you all is what is love? How does it really look like? And that's what I want you all to go away with is the love that you all, if you all came from a good home, good family, good balance, kudos. Everybody didn't have that. So for those that had that destructive, neglectful childhood, is to step back and find out what is love? What does love look like? Because then you would learn to shift and change the way you perceive love was to what love truly is. And that's also stepping into growing and expanding yourself, being a better you, because knowledge is power. And when you get the knowledge of what you were taught or shown wasn't true, and now you have a reflection of what that thing really looks like, you want to go forward and go into newness. It's for you, it's for your tomorrow, is to change the generational baggage in your life. So that's important.
And be receptive. I like that you touched on the people that did come from a loving household,
Hmm.
because these are individuals that can teach us how to love properly. They can
Hmm.
look at a situation and say, that ain't right. That ain't love. Love also teaches. Don't be
Yeah.
scared to teach. A lot of times we talk to people and we try to be people pleasers, and we'll tell them, they'll come to us for advice, or we'll see them doing something wrong and we'll just brush over it because we want to make them happy, or we don't want to, accuse them of anything. But if you see something that's wrong, say something.
Yeah.
If you see a mom that's disciplining, well, not in the streets, because people will turn on you and get crazy. But if you know someone personally and you're in their lives and you have a trusting relationship with them and you see something that you question, say something.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Because that will alter and shift their life. Because once you do stuff, this is when you do things you're not thinking. This is your normalcy of doing
reaction.
things.
Yeah.
So when somebody pulls you up in a loving way and say, why do you do this? And you start questioning, they start sort of letting you dig into, why am I angry all the time, or why do I beat my kids, and there is a better way of doing things. You won't know because you've taught this habit from your parents, from and your parents parents. So you're thinking you're doing the right thing. So when that person says, hey, by the way, pull you up and be like that, you could do it a better way. There's a better way to raise your kids. There's a better way to talk to this person. It's like an awakening. So it's an awakening. So when Tekoa was saying, tell that person, they don't know if they're doing wrong. A lot of people don't realize this is what
Their
they're used to.
habits. Hmm.
And until you pull them up so they can actually look at the thing and think about it, they might be upset when you tell them, but they can go back and reflect. And that will alter, and that can also change their direction and their perception of how they deal with stuff, their
Yes.
day to day.
So, and I want to say too, when it comes to love, like I said, it's a journey, it's an adventure. Be open to learning.
Yeah.
If you maybe think, hey, maybe I don't know how to love, or maybe my spouse has said something that I should try or be better on. Learn, educate yourself, Google it, ask others, reach out, look for help. People just get so stuck in, I know all the answers, I'm doing it the way I think is right, and that's the end. And that is not how you grow. That's not how you love correctly,
Hmm.
especially when it comes to parenting, because how you treat your kids is how they will grow up and want and expect to be treated.
Correct.
You know, if
Correct.
you're very rough with your kids, if you don't let them kind of talk, they'll think that's normal and they'll look for that normalcy in their relationships. And then they'll be easily manipulated, easily controlled. They won't speak up for themselves. You know, it'll affect their esteem. So we
Hmm.
are setting the foundation for what love is in their future. And that is extremely important. And you might think you're the end all be all and you know it all, but you do not.
Yeah.
You do
Yeah.
not. And I had looked up, I had seen, like, I was just interested in how parenting is in other countries. And in African countries, well, not I want to say African countries, in one particular village that I had researched, they say when they have kids, they look at their children just as they look at their friends. These are my friends. They're not lesser than me. You know, we are on equal ground and I will treat
Hmm.
them as such, as
Hmm.
my friend. So, and not to say, you know, don't, you're not my little friend. I know that's something we say in the Black community. Don't treat your kids as your friends, but don't treat them as lesser beings
Hmm.
either. Be open to listening to them when they need to talk, communicate with them, you know, have meetings with them. How are you feeling today? Is there anything I can improve on? And that's in any relationship, in any friendship. Is there anything I can improve on? How can I love you better? There's
Hmm.
always
Hmm.
something you can do to improve your relationship with people. There's always a better way to love, you know, and we don't have all the answers, like I said. So be open to receiving that criticism. And if you truly love someone, then you'll want to know how to love them better within your boundaries. You know, don't do anything for love that you don't feel comfortable doing, because
Correct.
that's not love. That's manipulation.
Yeah.
Be wise in it, you know, and don't just be so, I wanna love and I want someone to love me, that you lose your boundaries, because that is not love.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
toxic love.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have to, you know, affirm what love is for you
Hmm.
and be willing to understand that, you know, love varies for other people. Be willing to learn the best way to love what feels good, you
Hmm.
and grow in it. It's something that you have to grow into. But definitely stems from self-love first.
Yeah. Stems from first self love.
Yeah, it stems first from self-love. Learn how to love yourself first, and then I promise you, you can love others effortlessly. And there are also some people who are difficult to love, and you don't have to, you know, love them in the way they want to be loved.
Yep.
Yep. So don't, it's know your boundaries
Correct. Correct.
and stick
Correct.
to them.
So those are very important things of love, and that's what we want to do is just, and like Tekoa was saying, I wanted to say, you know, I don't know how to love. There is so much information and books and YouTube and there's so much information that if you don't know, you can find that thing.
Mhm.
So that's important to educate and research and learn for yourself what that is. If you're lost, like how we were, what is love? Then it's up to you to find out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's part of self-love. That's part of self-love, because what you're doing is you're educating and surrounding yourself and finding out what this thing is. And then it'll sort of show you how to be loved. What it does it look like? How do you want it to be? And then you can start showing up the way you feel that this love is. And then you're going to track that thing. You're going to track those friends, those people that you deserve to be around. That's going to show you what true love is. The universe wants to show you what true love is.
Mhm. Yep, and definitely, you know, you have to be willing and open to accept it. Like I said, you have to be willing to learn from it. If you if it feels good, then most likely it is good. But don't settle on things that don't feel good just
Hmm.
because you want you want love, okay? Because I feel like everything we look for outside of ourselves and others, we should first seek inside of ourselves. We should first look for it
Amen.
inside of us. Most of the time when we're looking for love, we're looking for comfort yourself, love
Yeah.
yourself. Most time when we're looking for love, we're looking for affirm to be affirmed, to be to feel like we're important. Make yourself feel important first.
Yeah.
Reach down deep inside of yourself. So all the things we're looking for outwardly, we
Outside.
find
Hmm.
inward. We
And
have
that's
to
true.
take the time. And then we can project whatever we found from within ourselves outward. That's how we make the world a better place too. It's by learning and growing on the inside and then letting that flow out of us.
Yep. That's true.
Yep.
Like that.
Thank you. And I think we're wrapping up our 30 minutes from this point on. Let's practice loving better.
Yep.
Loving ourselves and loving those around us. Let's do better for love.
For love.
All
Hey,
right, you guys. I
thank
love
you.
you all, and I mean that with the best of love. I want the best for you. I'm rooting for you constantly. Comment down below and share some love. Share some of what you learned love is, of how you're going to love better from this moment on, of what you want love to look like for you. Write your list down below and let's find the right love from this day forth, the best kind of love that'll help us grow.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening. Have a great one. Bye. That's a wrap of today's episode. And once again, this is the podcast, Time for Tea, where we are teaching, empowering, and applying and giving out weekly doses of some good stuff for your spirit. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Same time, same place. Bye.